Alrighty, a lot of people know that I enjoy cheesy old horror movie classics such as Nightmare on Elm Street, The Thing, Halloween, Friday the 13th, and heck, I even enjoy the terrible sequels, except, like Jason Goes to Hell, 'cause whatever. But, um, I thought the 2000s have brought in a new type of horror movie, which is the remake era. In 2003, Michael Bay produced a remake of Tobe Hooper's classic 1974 Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Alright, I'm gonna admit, I was not a huge fan of the original. It wasn't really just that scary or that impressive. It was graphic, yes, it's pretty legit kills, and it was interesting, and it reflected the fears of the time it was made, and I respect it a lot. I love Tobe Hooper. The remake. I did not like it. It was choppy and sloppy. There was no character building. Um, we are expected to feel bad for the people, but we don't know them. Like, we don't know who they are, so I don't feel that bad for them when they die horribly. The kills were kind of overly gruesome with unneeded violence and gore. I mean, I love gore, but only to a certain point. I guess it was just over the top, and I didn't really have fun with it. 2006, Alexandre Aja redirected Wes Craven's 1977 movie The Hills Have Eyes. Again, I didn't really love The Hills Have Eyes. I respected it, and I have a great respect for Wes Craven. He's a master of horror. The idea behind the movie just seemed kind of dumb, but I guess passable. It was raw, brutal, harsh. Um, don't watch it if you're scared of gore, 'cause it was pretty gory. But I can see a connection with the family, so I did feel bad when horrible things happened to them. But the remake had the same brutality, and it made me cringe and just cover one eye. It made me hate the government as much as the original, but the lack of character also was a factor again, and the casting was really weird, because Dan Bird is in it, and he's like the adorable best friend from Cinderella Story and EVA, and he was way too cute to be doing such horrible things, and it was kind of distracting. But Wes Craven's involvement with the film as a producer, I think, helped capture some of what the original did. But that also kind of makes me wonder, then why did they have to make a remake if Wes Craven was in it, like, involved anyway? 1968, George A. Romero, who was like my hero, I love him. He reinvented zombies and created kind of the modern day zombie. For Night of the Living Dead, the ones that walk slowly and eat flesh, and I don't know, he's pretty badass. 1978, he made a sequel type of thing, Dawn of the Dead, and it was really good. Perfect balance of gore and humor and destruction and politics, and he was a genius, in my opinion. He has this way of, like, attempting to wake American people up, and about every 10 years he makes a zombie movie that reflects the time it was made. But this one makes a big social statement about Dawn of the Dead. It's like about the consumer culture and the idea people can't get along and trust each other in the modern era. It's apparent in many of his films, but it was scary and awesome and amazing, and just the right amount of gore. But 2004's Dawn of the Dead lacked all of that. I mean, it was like a social statement, sort of, but it was just zombies could run, and it was overly gruesome and unnecessary violence. The audience that understood and enjoyed the original were traded for mindless teenagers who were just like dollar signs, and I hated a lot of it. The demon or zombie baby was freaky and didn't need to be in there, and I went into this movie with low expectations and was obviously disappointed because they were low and I knew it was coming. But if I'm in the mood for like a mindless, gory, uncharacter-driven zombie flick, which, sometimes I am, I'll admit it, I will enjoy this film. Otherwise, it's kind of whatever. 1972, Wes Craven made a film about the love of their parents toward their daughter and the lengths they'd go to make sure she was avenged. That would send Wes Craven's career through the roof. Last House on the Left. It was very intense. Gruesome images that will stay with you for days. It is really harsh. Greatest horror movie moments in history, though. It has some really good ones. I love this movie. I will not watch it again anytime soon, but I did enjoy it. It was moralistic. The parents of a young girl, they destroy the people who killed her. The kills are intense and elaborate, well-built characters. You feel sorry for all of them, even the bad guys. a little bit. The remake tried to be the same way. Didn't really find its way there. The acting was definitely up to par. It was pretty good. But to me, the movie seemed all about the kills and less about the main point, which was the love for the daughter. In the remake, the daughter lives, and they're kind of leaving her alone, beaten up, exhausted, helpless in the kitchen while they go, kill the killers. Um, Seems kind of like a dumb move. It also seemed to end really well. The daughter lives, the bad guys are all dead, they escape without the police finding them, the messed up teenage boy is getting help, and happily ever after, except they just killed 3 people in horrible ways, but. Plus the beach house is just gonna be a bitch to clean. Overall, I wasn't really a fan, and also microwaves do not work unless the door of the microwave is closed, so that happened in both the original and the remake. I just figured they could figure that out. Um, Michael Bay did it again the next year, and did Jason Voorhees, Friday the 13th. I loved the original. It was cool. It was, it was scary. It had a plot twist, and Jason became, in the sequels, a killer with very little motive. He pursued and punished naughty teenagers in terrible ways and looked badass doing it. That was kind of his thing. He avenged the death of his mother, but, how long that motive. The sequels and the overwhelming onslaught of teenagers that continued to visit Camp Crystal Lake made these movies, the stupid and awesome movies that they are. I mean, there's a lot of naked girls, too. There's there's slashers. I mean, Jason was a god. I watched the remake, and I knew it wasn't going to be that good, but actually I was surprised. It started off, with the kills. The sex scene at the beginning is, overdone. But otherwise I was pretty impressed, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh, now the movie's going. But then it kind of went downhill. The kills were imaginative, which, considering all the dozens of Jason movies there are and how many people have been killed in horrible ways, that they could come up with new kills. It made me kind of wonder how stupid teenagers really are. Yeah, like I said, there's another sex scene too that's really, really long. Of course, boobs. Everyone expects boobs. It's a Jason movie. It's not a porno. I mean, they treated it a lot like a porno. It was like, wow, over the top. But the virgins pretty much don't survive. I was pleasantly surprised, I'd have to say, by the remake on this one. It wasn't super horrible. I wish Michael Bay would just stop, though. I mean, 2010, he remade... Okay, I'm going to be biased on this, just so you know. Nightmare on Elm Street. I love Freddy Krueger. Way more, than the new one. I love how Robert Englund portrayed him. I had a good time when I went to this movie. I didn't pay a ton of attention to details, but when I watched it again, after watching the original again, I kind of got pissed off. Freddy was not normal, his normal self that we came to love, which could be a good thing, I guess, but he had the deep voice, and his humor was shitty, and he lacked a lot of the scare elements. It was all jump scares. It focused too much on the kills. Well, no, it didn't focus enough on the kills, actually. Never mind. It was, boring, and the acting was so terrible, and Jackie Earle Haley did a fine job. I'm not going to diss him because I do like him, and I do like him as Freddy. He just wasn't my Freddy. I was disappointed with Rooney Mara. I understand she's kind of come into her own now, but the original Nancy was tough and badass, and I liked that. And this girl was kind of lame, and she fell down a lot, and she was like, me. And they reused a lot of Wes Craven's original stuff, which I hated. Like when the glove comes out between her legs. It's way scarier in the original. He, pulls her down in the drain. This one's just like, oh, okay. And then the I'm your boyfriend now, that was funny in the original. It was, kind of campy, a little scary, but, man, they took it to a whole new level. The pedophile, I mean, no, he's not a pedophile. He kills kids, which, yeah, messed up, but, ew, he's not a pedophile. Not Freddy Krueger. Not my Freddy Krueger. But, so those are the horror remakes that I did not really appreciate that they were in the world, but eventually I'll do a video on the remakes that I did not hate, because there are some that I liked okay. Thanks, guys.